Hello and welcome to Talking Gamers match preview of Newcastle United against West Ham United. Gonzo, kick us off as always, please. What's your thoughts on Newcastle?
I think they've done tremendously well. I don't think they've actually, I was going to say, haven't spent that much money. No, don't get me wrong, when you're going to go and spend £70 million on a striker, which they've done, you're obviously pushing it, moving it up there. But they're not in the same realms of the spends of the big clubs yet. So I think actually he's done remarkably well. I watched. I looked at their team lineup very recently. Can't remember which game, and it didn't look like a spectacular lineup. Good players in there, but you know there was people like Dan Burn in there. I think Longstaff was in there. There was you looked at the team, and was a lot of component parts which were either there before, or I would call Dan Burn a journeyman actually, and rather than these superstar stellar players. And I thought actually he's got more out of them than the sum of their parts, actually. And I think the most impressive thing that Eddie Howe has done is he's got these players playing at a level of the clubs that have spent hundreds of millions of pounds more before he spent the hundreds of millions of pounds. So I think actually the ceiling of Newcastle is so much higher than it is now. And I think they're performing in and amongst the top four a place but before they should be, really. Changing players' positions and bringing players in. He's got real identity about the way he wants to play. And I think, so I'm really impressed. I don't even think you've seen the half of it yet he's still up there. You've got Chelsea doing this massive spend up, for instance. There's nothing to say that Chelsea are going to finish above Newcastle this season, actually. And I think he's done miraculously. And I think he provides a really... There's some PR issues at that club, let's put it that way. And I think Eddie Howe provides a really soft face to it. I think he's incredibly likable. And I think Eddie, I'm not even sure they even realise it. I think Eddie Howe takes the edge of all that difficult PR stuff that club have got to encounter. He's just so likable. He's so good. And there's at a time when I think it's probably needed, he brings humility to the club. He's a humble face of that club, and he's really effective and he's really good, Gio.
Yeah, I've been incredibly impressed by them, to be honest with you. Last season when Eddie Howe went in, I'll be honest, I had my doubts. I thought, I don't know if he'll get them out of it, kind of thing. And he just improved them overnight. He improved players overnight. I think that's always a sign of a really good coach, when you improve the players you have got at your disposal. The way they've gone about things in the transfer market, we can't help but admire it. The last two transfer windows, not the one that we've just had in January, we don't know yet, but the summer one in last January have been incredibly successful. They've brought in the right players, not really made an error in regards to bringing in players. The Chris Wood one, I know he's gone out on loan, but that was probably the plan. We'll buy him, we'll put Burnley in trouble. We've got a striker, we'll use him for now. He'll become our third choice striker, and then we'll let him go, kind of thing. That's a club with a plan, and I don't have an issue with that. If their idea was, we'll use Wood, eventually we'll upgrade him and move him on, that is good. That's almost ruthless to some extent, but I think that's what some clubs are possibly guilty of, hanging on for players for too long that they don't actually need and taking up places in that squad that prevents the progression of others. I think Eddie Howe has been superb. The football they play is really enjoyable to watch. I agree with what you're saying about in regards to the PR stuff. I think Newcastle, in regards to the footballing side of it, are a really likable club too, with the fan base, the stadium. It's hard not to look at them and be envious and think, bloody hell, I wish we were a bit more organised like that.
They've spent no more money than us. This is the thing.
They're organised. They've got a plan. They went and recruited Dan Answorth from Brighton. Thought, well, there's the guy we need in charge of transfers. Let's go get him so that he's in place. So we've got the right people in the right places, so that this football club can run efficiently and well, and it's working, and I quite admire their stance, which is we're not afraid to pay big money for big players, but we'll put our own value on a player and we'll pay that, and we're not going to go a penny above it. You're not taking a mick because we're Newcastle United. You saw it with Sven Botman last January. They said, no, we don't want him then. We'll wait till the summer. Went back in the summer and they held their ground. They got their man eventually. There's a lot to be admiring. Are you surprised at how quick they've done this? Are they doing a lot better than you expected?
Considering the lack of money spent, I am. Yeah, I mean, and I see people. I see people saying, "Oh, Newcastle up there because they're money." Not yet. Not yet. That's not what's happened here. I really do. I can't stress that Eddie Howe thing. I'm so impressed because of, as I say, all that peripheral stuff, which I just don't want to discuss here now. I've discussed it to death. But the ownership stuff. They're so easy to turn. People are that close to turning on Newcastle. And actually, if you had a Mikel Arteta in that dugout or a Diego Simeone, that'd be easy to hate because you'd be jealous. Because you'd be jealous of the money, be jealous of what's happened, and then they've got this horrible team and this horrible manager. So actually, that's really important what Eddie Howe has done there. But in terms of the team, I am seriously impressed with it because I don't. You know, some clever signings, Trippier, clever signing. And again, you don't look at the very top clubs. I know, you know, he was at Tottenham and he was at Atletico Madrid, but the very top clubs don't go out and get Trippier. The very top clubs don't go out and get Dan Burn. They solve these problems with bigger money all the way through. They don't change Joe Linton. They don't get the best out of Almiron. This is what's happening. They are up there. I think Eddie Howe could have gone into Newcastle without the Saudi takeover. Don't get me wrong, a little takeover, but maybe with Nottingham Forest money or the Nottingham Forest takeover or whatever, or West Ham money, and they would still be up there now. At the moment, we are not seeing that Newcastle are up there because of Saudi Arabia, because I don't think they've spent masses of oil money. I think at the moment they're up there because of Eddie Howe.
Yeah, I agree, and I think there's other elements as well. Like I said, the recruitment team and stuff as well play their part. But I agree with you. Like I said, right people in the right places, footballing people in the right places at that club, and well, it's hard not to be impressed by what they've done. Time to get your crystal ball out there, and they're currently third in the Premier League. Do you think they'll finish top four? And also, they've made it to the Carabao Cup final where they're playing Man United. Will they win the Carabao Cup?
Okay. I think Man United have finished above them in the league, so I think they're going to fight it out for fourth place. And it's down to Tottenham, isn't it? It's down to Chelsea. I don't think Liverpool got 2 or 3 more bad results in them, and they can wave goodbye to all that. Quite frankly, I think they get 5th. I think they'll get 5th.
So who's going to pip them then? Tottenham or Brighton?
Brighton.
They're being funny.
Okay.
Brighton look better than Liverpool and Chelsea at the minute.
Missing some. It's be amazing for Newcastle to finish above Chelsea, and they'll deserve it, by the way.
I think they'll finish above Chelsea. Chelsea aren't very good. They're mid-table at the minute. Chelsea are nowhere near this race.
I know, but you know, but you still view things historically, and you still view things with a view to they are spending money, and traditionally this league. Money counts.
Chelsea are the exact opposite of Newcastle at the minute, aren't they? They're just throwing cash left, right, and centre, and trying to get in decent players and hoping that Graham Potter can make something happen with it.
Yeah, I'm not convinced he'll be their manager at the end of the season, Graham Potter. So I'm not placing any money on Chelsea. I'm just, you asked the question. I'm sort of thinking it through in my mind as you're asking it. Possibly Tottenham, but they don't look. He's not. Doesn't look comfortable there, Conte, does he? I think they can do it. Well, it's just going to be close, and it's not me sitting on the fence. I think the League Cup's going to be close. Look, if Rashford gets injured, then yes, I think Newcastle win it. He's in that sort of form now, Rashford. I just think Rashford is looking like a sort of £150 million player at the moment, and he can sort of turn a game. So I think they've lost Eriksen at the moment, interesting. They can win the Carabao Cup, and I think they'll finish 5th.
I think they'll win the Carabao Cup, and I think they'll finish in the top 4. I agree with you about Man United. I think Man United looks like top 4 material, but I think they'll stay the way it is at the minute, which is Arsenal, Man City, Newcastle, Man U. I think that will be the top 4. Spurs have got problems. Liverpool just ain't as great. Chelsea are all over the gaff at the minute. They'll be lucky to finish above Fulham and Brighton at this rate. But with Newcastle, they're so well organised. I mean, their defence is ridiculous. 10 clean sheets in a row was before conceding to a Che Adams screamer. It is unbelievable. Goals keep you in the Premier League, but clean sheets win you titles. And they're not going to quite win the title, but getting into the top 4 with that squad this quick is on a similar level to Arsenal winning the title with the money they've spent with Arteta in charge. And I think Newcastle will get top 4 of football this season. I think It'd be interesting to see how they do it, because I'd imagine a bit like they're going to have a little bit of West Hamitis about them, which is we've got a bit of a game plan here. Oh, we're now on year 4. We've only done it in 1 year. That's
Sure.
sped up a little bit. And we had a bit with that. We got Europa League football the season after surviving relegation. It was like, whoa, what do we do? This is too. We almost struggled with the jump in speeding up that plan that we had out. It'd be interesting to see Newcastle's plan. They might have thought, like, 3 years' time we're getting Champions League. Oh, we've done it in 1 year. Now what do we do? Do we bring forward the transfer strategy? Do we go after the world-class players now, or do we keep investing in those Premier League players that we can improve? It'll be interesting to see what they do if they get there, but I think they will. Anyway, before we discuss more Newcastle and get on to West Ham, we've got a special offer from you from HelloFresh. This match preview is in collaboration with HelloFresh, where you can get recipes and fresh ingredients delivered straight to your doorstep, saving you a bit of money and a lot of time. Now, one thing I struggle with is having the same thing for my meals over and over again every single week. I go to the supermarket and I buy the same thing because I'm not inspired. You know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? But that's not the case on HelloFresh. You go on there, there's a wide range of recipes for you to choose from, whether you need to feed the family, whether you're calorie counting, or maybe you just want something quick and simple to make after work. You don't want to spend too long in the kitchen. HelloFresh has got everything that you need. This week I made the Thai pulled pork, and I'll be honest with you, I've never had it before. It's not something I would ever make. I don't even know how to make it. But with HelloFresh, when you select that recipe, you get all the ingredients you need, as well as a quick, simple recipe to follow. In fact, it took me less time to prep it and to cook it and to consume it, and it was delicious, by the way, than it takes for you to watch this match preview. That's how quick some of the recipes are. So head over there and use our code 60HAMMERS. You'll get 60% off your first box, 25% off your next 2 months, and free gifts as well. So get onto HelloFresh, get inspired, and get that box delivered straight to your doorstep. But enough about new recipes. Let's talk about Newcastle. Right, Gonzo, last question on Newcastle. Please, your mayor.
Trippier is amazing. It's just a wonderful leader. Great delivery. The right signing. That is foresight. That really is. And I've already mentioned him earlier on in this video, but it's incredibly impressive. I'm always looking when I watch football to see leaders and and see people giving instruction. You know this. I've said it with however long we've been doing Hammers Chat. It's our birthday soon. It's our birthday today. That might be Hammers Chat's birthday today, isn't it? Is it not our birthday today?
I don't know.
I think it might be. Happy birthday. I'm always impressed with with leadership, and in a team game, somebody that can make other players around them better. I think it's a hell of a quality. I think there's a lot of footballers, particularly these days, go out to play for themselves, and I think he's been brilliant. As you know, I've always liked Almiron. I've always, admired his directness and his pace. So it might have taken me 4 years for my.
You were ahead of the curve. You knew Eddie Howe was coming eventually.
Yeah, I was insightful, wasn't I? Yeah, I'll scout him. So yeah, I mean, he's good. The striker you can talk about looks obviously very impressive as well. And the midfielder, the Brazilian, Guimaraes, probably not Guimaraes.
Just call him Bruno. You'll be fine.
Bruno, just really, really, really good. So excellent. I could go on, but there you go. There's 3 players for you. Really good players. Yeah,
it's the spine of the team for me. I mean, some of the players you mentioned as well. We're big fans of Nick Pope. We don't have to mention Nick Pope. I think Botman's been unbelievable since he's gone in there. He's one of those players you've heard of. For me, one of those players I've heard of, but I've never seen play before he went to Newcastle. So I knew he had a big reputation. I knew there was a lot of hype about him. People held him in really high regard. But I don't watch French football, so I hadn't seen him play really. He's gone into Newcastle, and every time I watch, he just makes it look easy. He makes defending look easy. He's a bit like a Gerd. He just does the difficult things and makes it look like he's barely broke a sweat. And it's thoroughly impressive watching him. And with the greatest of respect to Fabian Schär, when he looks good, it's because he's got a good defensive partner next to him. I've seen him get ripped to shreds by strikers over the years, and he's a decent Premier League centre back, but Botman improves him. And I think Botman's the reason that Burn looks decent at left back as well. Burn's a good enough player, but he's not a left back, but he's possibly been one of the best left backs in the league this season. I think Botman's got a large part to play for that. I think Bruno's been incredible. Again, another player with a big reputation. When he went to Newcastle, there was a lot of excitement and hype. But boy, oh boy, has he lived up to it. Whenever I watch him play, his technique, his vision, his tackling, everything, he's got everything. It just blows me away. I just sometimes sit there thinking, Newcastle fans must pinch themselves that they've got Bruno, even though they're doing well and they've got the money and stuff. That is a player that could go play for Man City tomorrow and become one of their better players immediately. Sure. And he's just tremendous, tremendous talent. And Isak, Gonzo's Almiron is my Isak. I wanted him at West Ham years ago. He's not really had a break at Newcastle yet. He's got injured and stuff, and he's had to wait patiently. But I think he'll come good. I think he's just got an incredible amount of class about him as well. Top striker. Really good players at Newcastle. But now we're going to talk about the really good players at West Ham. They're all injured, though. Kurt Zuma is out this weekend. Maxwell Cornet is still missing. Damien Moyes still doesn't know what's going on with him. Danny Ings is missing. And interesting one regarding Gianluca Scamacca, though. We expected him to be out, but Moyes has told us on Wednesday, just gone, that he's had his third and final injection in his knee to try and get him ready to
Brilliant. Play. Happy days.
Yeah, that will go on. Danny Ings has had the same as well for the next few fixtures. But Scamacca himself posted on social media before the Derby game that he was back soon. So a little bit of a hint there from Scamacca. Reading between the lines and making a guess, I'm going to say that he's perhaps available for the bench, but we'll discuss the striker situation with and without Scamacca as we go, Gonzo. But we've sort of settled on a formation in the last couple of games now with three at the back. Is that something you'd like to see continue at St James's Park?
Very much so. Very, very much so. Yeah, I want to see this. It's just something different. I couldn't really care less at the time what it was, but I felt David Moyes needed to change it. I think a Gerd makes this formation beautiful. I've gone too far. Woo, way overshot myself there. There's nothing beautiful about West Ham. He's made this. Sorry,
efficient.
A Gerd has made this formation acceptable.
Acceptable. I'm inclined to. I still want to see a 4-3-3. I still think we've got the personnel, but I'm going to do my personnel in the way of three at the back because I think that's what's coming. And I understand why. You know, I know we only played a League One side on Monday, but it's a clean sheet. With a clean sheet against Everton as well. 1-2-0 back-to-back games. So I can see why Moyes will stick with it. A little bit nervous because I thought Southampton, I only saw the first half against Newcastle before we did our deadline day show. And Southampton were playing a back three. And Eddie Howe, tactics-wise, just had them pinned in. Southampton could not get out. The way that he had Joelinton and Almiron sitting on the wing-backs and basically saying, you can have your centre-backs free. Good luck getting the ball out of defence. There was nowhere for them to play it. They couldn't give it to Walker-Peters. They couldn't give it to Bree. They couldn't give it to their centre midfielders because Willock and Longstaff were in that area as well. And Wilson was just hovering around three centre-backs. And they had no option but to just go long every single time. And Newcastle were winning everything. They just could not get out. And I was watching that thinking, oh, no, we're going to play three at the back. Eddie Howe's tactics here will work against what we will do on Saturday. But I've accepted that's what Moyes is going to do. Just quickly, who's your keeper?
Areola.
And your back three, please?
Would be Ben Johnson and obviously
Ogbon and Agard.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with that. Why Johnson over Kerr? Just the defensive.
I'm just don't need. We do not need to give them a single. They're going to be. They're frightening. They're absolutely frightening when they go forward at pace. And I just. It's terrifying watching a Gerd play, quite frankly. So I'd rather not watch him play.
Kerr. He's terrified watching Kerr play.
Oh, my goodness. I do apologise, everyone. So we're recording this early in the morning, as you can tell.
We know who you meant, but just for those who didn't know what you meant, he meant Thilo Kerr.
I do. Thank you, Gio. Thank you.
It's the same for me, Gonzo, because St. Maximum will probably be playing against us due to Bruno's suspension. So I think Joelinton will move back into midfield and St. Maximum will come in on that left wing position. I do not want to see him running at Thilo Kerr. It's as simple as that, really. Ben Johnson, he's defensively better. He's in a back three. Ben Johnson's weakness is what he does offensively. There's no requirement for it when you're playing in a back three. So rules that out. Talk me through the rest of your team. I think we're going to have the same team here, but right wing back, Soufal?
Absolutely. Left wing back would be Emerson. Midfield three of Paqueta, Downs and Rice.
Oh, okay. We've got a different one, but carry on.
Not sure how much I've thought about the front three. But be Bowen, Antonio, obviously, and
Well, wait, there's no and. That's your team.
No, that's it. We need another player.
No, you don't. I do. You don't.
No, I mean West Ham do. We need 12 players.
Yeah. We definitely need. Yeah, that's your team. So Bowen and Antonio up front.
Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, so there you go. Gonzo's team, just to recap.
I've got the players wrong.
Johnson.
Right? I've got the players wrong. I've put 12 players in the team. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Hammers Chat. Bloody hell.
So Gonzo's team's Johnson, McBourne, Garrett at the back, Sufal on the right, Emerson on the left, Rice, Paqueta and Downs in the middle, and then Bowen and Antonio up front. Slight alteration to mine. I've taken Downs out and put Saeed Benrahma in, and mine's more of a 3-4-3. I can understand why you would do that, your team, actually. To be honest with you, when you were saying it, and now I'm thinking about it, I think I prefer your one. The one thing that would give me a worry with your team is a lack of protection for Emerson, because Kieran Trippier will get incredibly high up that pitch. It will cause Emerson problems, and then Almiron comes out over to the right as well, and that'll be pulling a Gerd out from the centre, which I don't really want to see. I appreciate my team being relying on Saeed Benrahma to do something defensively, but at the same time, Kieran Trippier will leave space in behind to exploit at times, especially from set pieces as well. And Benrahma's the person I want to see in that space to get us the ball and get us up that pitch ASAP. But there's some of the players aren't in too bad form at the minute, Gonzo. Antonio's set up and scored. Bowen's set up and scored 3 in his last 2 games. Paqueta and Rice have got a bit of a partnership in there. For you, Flynn Downs has played well. So
it's just unfortunate. You know, they will. I think they manage games really well from what I've seen. I think they defend really well. I don't think they're going to leave massive spaces behind for us to counter on there. I think they run the clock down well. I think they've got so much pace as well, which is obviously our weak. That's our Achilles heel. I'm terrified by it, actually, by what they could do up front. You know, regardless of what combination, and you know, I like say I haven't mentioned St. Maximin myself. You know, I mention him every season. It's only because they've been playing Joe Linton wide a little bit. I know that I haven't mentioned him, but he's terrifying. They're all terrifying, and you know, regardless of who they've got up front, whether it's Isak or Callum Wilson, you know, if they're playing a front 3 or something of Almiron and Sam Maximin and when Wilson or whoever it was, Isak, whoever it is, honestly, it's just massive trouble for us. So. Yeah,
it should be Wilson. Isak was withdrawn on Tuesday, and there's uncertainty over whether it was concussion or not. Basically, it was a head knock. Okay, he went off, and Eddie Howe after the game said he felt a bit groggy, which would insinuate concussion. But Eddie Howe also said, "I'm unsure of the concussion protocols." So there's a bit of confusion whether Isak's actually available for Saturday or not. It depends on the reason he was withdrawn from the game, which we are not partial to. So it might be that his hand is forced and it's Callum Wilson, which I personally would prefer. That's probably going to come back and bite me in the arse. I don't think he's looked as good recently, Callum Wilson. Go on to our next 3 games. Newcastle away, Chelsea at home, Tottenham away. What is a realistic target that West Ham should be picking up in terms of points accrued?
Realistic?
Yeah, what should it be? What should the target be?
A point?
Would you be happy with a point?
No, not at all.
Well, what would you be happy with?
But that is realistic.
No, a target, not a realistic haul, a realistic target. What should be the
well, we've got to beat one of them.
Yeah, I think so. I think 4 points. I think 4 out of that 3 games should be good.
Yeah. It's hard to see. It's hard to see them, though, to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah, I mean, 4 points would mean we probably weren't in the bottom 3, I'd imagine. So
I think 4 is realistic. I think this is the hardest fixture out of the 3, by the way.
Sure.
But I think...
Sure. Okay. Yeah, because Chelsea are not all that. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Tottenham aren't all that either.
Yeah,
I think whenever I've watched...
Keep talking, you're making me feel better.
Yeah, I think when I watched Newcastle, I thought, oh, bloody hell, I'm dreading this one. But when I watched Chelsea, I think they're there to be got at. We were very unlucky not to come away with anything at Stamford Bridge as well. And our home record against Chelsea over the last few seasons isn't too shabby whatsoever. And then Tottenham away... I'm sorry, but we get up for Tottenham, whether it's home or away. We raise our game under David Moyes, under Slaven Bilic, under Pellegrini. We raise our game for Tottenham, and I think 4 points in the next 3 games is a realistic target. I think it has to be the target this weekend. A win, we could finish the weekend as high as 13, but should we lose, we can finish in the bottom 3. So it just goes to show how tight the Premier League is right now. Are you confident for this one?
No, and that's the difference between, you know, targets and what, you know, my target's to decorate a hall this weekend, but it's not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? So, so no, I'm not confident at all. Actually, not at all.
No, I'm not. I mean, you're optimistic at all?
No, not. I listen. Don't get me wrong. I think if we'd had Zuma in there, we'd have to sit deep against them. I think there might have been a chance to maybe get a draw or something like that. But I think they'll just break us down. And I just think Moyes will choose the wrong team. I don't think he'll be reactive enough with these substitutions. I think Eddie Howe will just outthink and outsmart David Moyes tactically. And I think on the pitch, the players will be just too sharp for us, really. So no, I can't see any way on this one, I'm afraid.
Yeah, Kurt Zouma is a huge loss for us. I'm quite optimistic.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think Newcastle are incredibly hard to break down. You know, the defensive record speaks for themselves. I'm not confident in that regard. But very recently, I've seen Leeds go to St James's Park and make it very difficult for Newcastle, and they just ran out of ideas, really, Newcastle. There's some really good saves in there from LA, but generally speaking, I thought it was quite comfortable. They've had a game midweek, Newcastle, a tough game as well against Southampton in the Cup, and I thought there was 1 or 2 players starting to look a little bit leggy in that team, which is expected because it's been quite a consistent 11 from Eddie Howe for the whole season. You know, a lot of players have played a lot of minutes now. They're missing Bruno, which is a huge loss. It's a massive loss. They've now got to reshuffle the deck, which is probably moving Yolenton back into midfield and bringing in St Maximum. Now, St Maximum, we know, can be one of the best players in the league on his day, but I tell you what, he doesn't really fit what Newcastle's about under Eddie Howe for me. He loses the ball quite a lot. He still likes going on his runs and his dribbles, and he can lose possession a few times. And I think what makes Newcastle work recently is that epic and that togetherness. And actually, they've got an individual in the team now. Obviously, Anthony Gordon's available for Eddie Howe to come on as well if he needs him to. But for some reason, I've just got this feeling that I think Newcastle are going to struggle against us in the way that we want to play, which is sit in, defend, and counter-attack. I think we'll be able to do that on Saturday. I think we'll be able to park the bus, and then with the front 3, possibly of Ben Rama, Antonio, and Bowen, we've saw Antonio and Bowen sort of back to their best in the last couple of games now. And that's a little partnership that's flourishing, and we can utilize that partnership. It's going to be difficult, but I've got a little bit of optimism. I'd prefer Kurt Zouma was available, but that midfield battle, we can win that. That's why I'm inclined to go with your midfield with Downs, Paqueta, and Rice. They'll be up against Longstaff, Willock, and Yolenton. You know, we can battle against that team. And by the way, I was going to say, I forgot about that. One thing that was quite pleasing to see is Newcastle, the guy that scored for Newcastle during the week, both goals, was Sean Longstaff, a product from their academy. So for all the money and the stuff, it's a local boy from the academy that went and got the winners to send them to Wembley. Just something random. I quite liked. Can I get any final words from yourself, Gonzo, as well as your score prediction?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, you won't pick Flynn Downs. It was now the chosen one in as along with a Gerd. I've pinned our seasons now resting on Nathan Gerd and Flynn Downs as far as I'm concerned. But he won't pick Flynn Downs. So that's going to leave us with even less mobility. I do like what you said, though. I do like what you said. And it has changed my mind a little bit. So
no, don't do that. Don't change your mind. Give me your.
No. Of course. I think no. Why not? Why wouldn't I? You've just made a load of reasoned arguments there. Why
I can make some arguments while we get beat for one.
Stop that down. You're all right. Carry on. I liked what you said before. No more words. So I think, yeah, I think if we can sit deep enough, which is not something I would usually encourage, but I think we might have to. Don't leave space in behind. That's what I'm saying. No space to run into. For their little speedy Gonzalez is. I think we might be able to nick a draw in, and because of that, and because they've run out of ideas, your words, and
I didn't say that, but okay.
There you go. And yeah, and because we don't have any strikers, or if basically most of our players are having injections at the moment, which is really bad news as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to go for 0-0.
Wait, that's the same as me. I'm going 0-0 as well. I think the Newcastle defence is, well, the record speaks for itself. We don't need to explain anything there with the Newcastle defence. But I think Moyes' tactics may work. And listen, in 2023, we played 5, won 3, drawn 1, and lost just the 1. And I know there's mitigation to that. Well, one was against Brentford reserves, one was against Derby County, one was against Everton. That was really crap. But I don't see anybody going through Newcastle's 10 games for 10 clean sheets and dissecting it, going, well, actually, that team was crap, and that it's not. It's well, look how good Newcastle are. Happy days. But there's no breaking down their wins and criticising their wins, if you like. And listen, you can only take our form, because it is form. Our last 5 games show 3 wins. It's form. You can only take that with so much because of those. But I just hope now the boys are getting a little bit of confidence, a little bit of hope back in them. And what seemed like an impossible task is changing now. You know, Monday was a tricky fixture for us. We navigated it incredibly comfortably. We've got our striker scoring goals. We've got our winger and Jared Bowen scoring goals now. We've got Rice and Paqueta in midfield, who didn't have to play on Monday night. So they've had a fortnight without any football. You know, Emerson's coming into form in his best position. Gerd is one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League at the minute, as far as I'm concerned. We can get something from this game. I'm not sure we can win, but I'm going to go for 0-0 as well. I think it'll be a bit of a boring game to watch, but you know something? I'll take it. If it gets us a point, I'll bite your hand off for it. Anyway, shall we leave it there, my friend?
Yes, mate.
Well, if you've enjoyed this preview, please do drop a like, comment, subscribe if you're new to Hammer's Chat. I'll be back tomorrow with the popular Newcastle United fan to get his view on Saturday and how he's feeling ahead of the Carabao Cup final. Myself and Gonzo will be live at 4:25. It's our 5:30 kickoff on Saturday evening, so we're live at 4:25 on this channel with our build-up show, where we'll be taking a look and seeing if David Moyes is playing Flynn Downs or perhaps it's Pablo Finals. We'll catch you then.